Welcome back. Now, before we take a look at the day's business news, let's first take a look at the stock indices across the GCC. And in our top business story, over 100 million new jobs must be created in the Arab world over the next decade. And according to experts, the way to achieve this is through startups and SMEs. However, in order to raise capital, how can SMEs stay afloat with limited loans available? Well, the concept of crowdfunding has hit the UAE and the region for an alternative solution. Eureeca, the first global crowd investing platform for growth companies and small and medium businesses, launched in Dubai back in May this year with strong business leader support, who stated that the platform will act as a major contributor to economic growth. Eureeca officials held a seminar today, gathering lawyers, SMEs and investors to further educate them about the new concept, which provides an alternative solution to address the needs of entrepreneurs and SMEs for growth capital, and has the potential to become a significant catalyst in developing the SME sector in the region.
SMEs face a major issue in our region. Only 8% of loans in our region from banks actually go to SMEs, even though they are more than 90% of the companies that we have in the region and account for some 60% of the jobs. So we need to provide finance to SMEs. That's a critical thing, because that's where the job creation is going to come from. And therefore, the importance of crowd investing is that it allows SMEs to have access to equity capital, to attract partners into their business in a cheap way, and they interact directly with the crowd, which means that they have good ambassadors, because once people invest in a company, they become the ambassador of that company.
Eureeca operates as a marketplace for both businesses looking for funding and crowd investors looking for new investment prospects. The platform offers growing businesses access to investment from the crowd for as little as $100 in exchange for equity. The crowd is typically made up of business followers and fans, clients, friends, and other members of the site.
You need to do your own due diligence. You're not receiving some information memorandum which is anonymous. You have to go online. You find out about the company, what they do, their business model. You might watch a video. You can interact with the company, the CEO and the president and everybody else. So the relationship is direct. And therefore the transparency and the disclosure is also online. That's a big plus in my view. Because you can learn from other people's questions, because everything is online. You can ask your own questions. That means you have to be involved.
Following the announcement of Dubai's transformation into a smart city, companies specialising in innovative technology are increasing their commitment in supporting Dubai and the UAE's vision. Among these are Wasila and Linksys. At the recently concluded GITEX, Wasila announced its new partnership with Aruba Networks. Company officials spoke about their ongoing work on the next generation of Wi-Fi and that the market is witnessing a shift among consumers. They added that they have decided to start providing services directly to MEP contractors and developers as buildings increasingly become smarter, with the inclusion of advanced wireless systems, telecoms, and many more.
5 years ago, operators can realize around 20 meg throughput, let's say, in around 1 month. Now they are seeing this in less than a day. People are more hungry to traffic, and this will force either technology vendors to develop more solutions that will allow such high-speed connectivity, in addition to companies like us, to help such operators to deploy properly such network in order to eventually to have to satisfy the hunger of the customers for data use.
In addition to this, Linksys, a company that specializes in connectivity products such as routers, gateways and switches, is expanding into the enterprise sector.
We are going to start with our infrastructure solution, which is more specific to networking and security, and going to build it up for cloud-based solution and moving into the office automation solutions, a complete end-to-end solution. Focused on definitely security is one of the key aspects, which is made for a small business kind of solution. The reason why it's important for this market is there's a lot of small businesses with a lot of entrepreneurship, and we would like to help those small businesses to make sure they use they use all these solutions for their small businesses and then grow as they need. It's a very flexible solution where they can adopt as they grow in their network and use based on their needs and demands.
It was a week of new records for the currency and equity markets as the US dollar continued its downward slide amidst increasing anticipation of a delay in the Fed taper. Equity markets continued building on their impressive gains during October, with the S&P 500 closing at a new record all-time high of 1,759. Following a rather dismal US non-farm payroll report released midweek, sentiment has increased that the Fed will be forced to maintain their current easing program through the end of 2013. Well, we earlier spoke to Gaurav Kashyap, the head of futures at Alpari Middle East, for his view.
We can expect the US dollar to continue building on some of its losses that it encountered last week, primarily on the back of the largest driver of event risk in the week ahead, which is the FOMC rate decision due out on Wednesday. Now, of course, the FOMC will not be tweaking that interest rate. Instead, markets will be lining up to see how the FOMC sees the taper in the future. Once again, the sentiment is now skewed towards the fact that the FOMC will look at announcing a taper probably towards the end of Q1 of 2014. Inflation seems to be largely in check in the US. Tuesday's inflation figure should be coming in at about 1.2%, well below the previous reading of 1.5%. And September's US jobs report was abysmal to say the least. With growth forecasts also tapered in the US, we see no reason why the Fed should look at easing anytime, at least in 2013. So we will be watching to see how dovish the tone is of the FOMC, and they should continue to weigh heavily on the US dollar, with the euro and the British pound and other leading currencies to continue building ground against the US dollar. Also on the economic calendar, which we'll be watching out for, is the Tuesday decision coming out of India. The Reserve Bank of India is largely expected to increase the repo rate, the short-term borrowing rate, by 25 basis points. This is expected to be coupled with a cut in the marginal standing facility, a reduction also there by about 25 basis points expected. So if the RBI goes for Plan B, which will be to increase the repo rate by 0.5%, this will continue to benefit the Indian rupee. But overall, the US dollar is expected to continue building on its losses from last week.